let us all do we can to build a better future. Daniel, you got a story for the people. What is going on?
Ironically, in a slightly uplifting story, we have a lawsuit that has just developed on a story that you guys may find very, very, very relevant, and something that is something that happened a couple months ago, last year, and that is it's a weird story, but very interesting nonetheless. Non-white guards are not allowed to guard the cop that killed George Floyd. Yeah, I'm going to read into it because it's a very ridiculous, but it just shows how uptight and accurate and civil this police force is that we're talking about in Minnesota. So this just happened. 8 minority correctional officers at Minnesota County Jail filed a racial discrimination lawsuit claiming they were barred from guarding the former Minneapolis police officer charged with George Floyd's death. The suit filed Tuesday in a state district court alleges that a superintendent at the Ramsey County Adult Detention Center, or ADC, in St. Paul reassigned officers of color to another floor when the former officer, Derek Chauvin, short for chauvinistic, was arrested on murder charges in May. The suit says the officers who identify as African American, Hispanic, Pacific Islander, and mixed race were, quote, segregated and prevented to do their jobs by defendants solely because of the color of their skin. Officers also claim Chauvin received special treatment from a white lieutenant. When Officer Chauvin arrived, they prepared to do the job that they had done every single day up to that point until, that is, Superintendent Leiden's orders prevented them from doing so. The officer's attorney, Lucas Castor, said at a news conference Tuesday, referring to jail Steve Linden, the impact on our clients has been immense. They're deeply humiliated and distressed, and the bonds necessary within the high-stress, high-pressure environment of the DC have been broken. Chauvin was arrested and charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter 4 days after the video on May 25th showing him kneeling on George Floyd's neck for about 9 minutes, that Floyd repeatedly said he could not breathe. The lawsuit said the correctional officers were performing their duties at the jail when they were informed that they would be reassigned because of Chauvin's arrival. The suit claims that Linden ordered all minority officers that were not allowed to guard Chauvin or interact with him or even be on the 5th floor where he's located. The officers were extremely upset and offended, the lawsuit says. One of the plaintiffs, Devin Sullivan, regularly processes and books high-profile inmates. The suit alleges he was in the middle of patting down Chauvin when Linden told him to stop and replaced him with a white officer. So, who still wonders if there's an issue in Minnesota? Anyone? Anyone's really going to do it? We're at a point now where there's so much bigotry spewing left and right that not even the people on the inside, the same blue line that we're, of course, all a part of, they're not even exempt because they're not the proper race to deal with this. Now, either you could have one or two arguments that they're going to use as their defense. One is, well, we were very worried that anyone that wasn't white would treat this guy unfairly, which is, of course, something that they hand out in the other direction. No, wait, no, they don't. That's ridiculous. Of course they don't. Or they're going to have some other thing like, oh, we just wanted to have better... This is disgusting. This is absolutely disgusting, and it's pathetic. It's public, and people ask, what's wrong with police in America? There are still people that ask. And of course, there are people that are like, I like it. This is why I like this guy. Vote him in again. Get him superintendent again. But the people that aren't like that in the middle, that are just like, no, the police would never do this. This is what they do to their own.
So, this isn't going to be the first or last time we're going to hear about the story. It's going to continue on. You know, the whole murder of George Floyd, it's still going to resonate with a lot of people. And obviously, we are seeing firsthand that, again, we're seeing a hypocritical system. It's hypocrisy at its finest. And now more than ever, look, not only should there be police reform, but there needs to be talk about, you know, defunding the police. There needs to be talk about how we're going to reorganize law enforcement in this country, but also looking at our ridiculous prison industrial complex and how maddening it is. We have more resources to build prisons. We have more resources to waste on this war on drugs. We have more resources to raise to waste on all this crap, and it's just, it doesn't have to be this way. And I don't know what it's going to take for the American people to step up, because so long as we have people like Bernie Sanders that are going to continue to put in, more neoliberals into this administration, to Biden's administration, nothing's going to fundamentally change. It's going to get worse. And yeah, here's the issue right now in the United States. We have an open gangrenous wound. Putting a Band-Aid on it won't fix anything. This is going to require a massive amount of surgery to fix what's happening here in this country. It's just not only just with law enforcement, but with so many other levels. And Daniel, I want to give you the final note on this.
Remember all the blue no matter who people that have said that once Biden got in, everything would be better? Let's remind everyone when Black Lives Matter started. It wasn't under Trump.
Nope.
It was under Obama. And what administration is this story coming to us from? It wasn't Trump. It's Biden.
Yeah. All right. With that being said, we're going to move on now to our next story. But again, I want to just thank everyone for joining us. We got now a story talking about how the Democrats should not compromise with the GOP.
By the way, do we miss that Streamlab chat over there?
No, we already got it.
Okay, that's fine. Okay.
Yeah, you're well, good eyes, because we always want to acknowledge our Streamlabs super chats and YouTube super chats from all our wonderful subscribers who are helping us build this channel up. We are working on a lot of great projects, and we can't wait to share them with you. But with that being said, let's get started with this third segment. So the Democrats are in a weird spot. Well, they're in the spot they're always used to. They want to talk about compromising, and we're going to go to Morning Joe to find out why the Democrats should not compromise with the GOP. Shout out to Case Study QB. Be sure to follow him on Twitter. He's doing some fantastic work. Let's play this video.
I'm trying to be Mr. Peace, Love, and Understanding here. And really? I'm telling the Biden administration they need to reach out to Republicans. They need to try to find that sweet spot where there can be compromise, even if it's closer to the Biden position than it is the Republican position, since they're in charge. But your attitude, man, you're like, I don't know if you've seen Big Mouth on Netflix, but you're like the hormone monster to these Twitter Democrats, just saying, go for it, man.
I find it really weird that
kill us, go for it now.
Yeah.
Like you say,
I don't know what to take from
don't compromise with the Republicans. Forget about the Republicans. Remember, though, what they did to you in 2009. Lay it out for us.
Listen, Joe, when Democrats last had full control of Washington, the White House, the House, and the Senate, it was back in 2009. And what Republicans did back then, and I can say this because I was there, I was working with them, is we investigated the crap out of Barack Obama. We used every mechanism at our disposal possible to drag down his presidency. We made it very clear that on day one, as Mitch McConnell famously said, our agenda was to make Barack Obama a one-term president. And Democrats did what they usually do. They tried to work in a bipartisan way. They tried to reach out across the aisle. And what ended up happening was they got shellacked in 2010 and legislatively effectively ended Barack Obama's presidency when they lost the majority in Congress. Joe Biden was there. He saw this as his vice president. A lot of people working in the White House, like Chief of Staff Ron Klain, was there. They saw what happened and how Republicans conducted themselves. So here we are right now. Democrats have once again regained the reins of power in Washington. And in this past election, you could not have had a clearer, separate message of what the Republican vision was and what the Democratic vision was. And yet the American people spoke unanimously and said they wanted Republicans to lose the reins of power. They wanted the Democratic vision to persist. And that's what they got. So the Biden administration, Democrats in Congress, they've been given this power, this mandate. They need to exercise it. If you ask the American people what agenda they want, if you ask...
All right. So here's the thing. I like what this guest is bringing up. He's saying, okay, look, the last time the Democrats had control of the office of the presidency, of the Senate and the House, they basically farted it away. Here's the thing, like with his Affordable Care Act, which is also called Obamacare, which is really Romney Care, which is something that was created by the Heritage Foundation. So really, Obamacare is a conservative Republican idea. They could have done a public option. Now, was it the best? No, it wasn't. But they could have done a public option, but they didn't. Because again, as I've said on the show, the Democrats are basically the Washington Generals. They don't know how to win.
The Harlem Globetrotters?
No, they're not the Harlem
Okay.
Globetrotters. Yeah, don't worry. See, Harlem Globetrotters win, and so that's their good. Washington Generals, I mean, they
generally lose.
They generally lose all the time. And if ever's a day when the Washington Generals do win something, hell will freeze over. But it's very important to acknowledge the fact that the Democrats, when they have power, they don't use it. They're afraid to use it. And you have Democrats then like Senator Joe Manchin, who wants to compromise with Republicans, or either that, not vote with Democrats. And again, it seems like they're doing this again. We were promised $2,000 stimulus checks. But what are we seeing firsthand? We're seeing this whole sideshow of an impeachment of Donald Trump. He's not even in office anymore. The orange man is gone. The boogeyman is gone. And here's the thing. Do you want to know why people keep talking about Trump? Why the Democrats and corporate media still keep talking about him? Because it's all what they got. Donald Trump was their drug, and they don't know how to live without him now. They don't know what else to do, and they're afraid that as soon as like they're done talking about Trump, more people are gonna be wondering, hey, Democrats, what are you doing? Hey, Democrats, where's our stimulus checks? Hey, Democrats, why are people still waiting in line in this capitalist country for food? Hey, Democrats, how come we have a thing called medical debt when no other democracy has a thing called medical debt? We have people from overseas who type in our comments saying, hey, what is this medical debt? We've never heard of it. People from Britain, Canada, Australia, they speak English, but medical debt, they never heard of it. Hey, Democrats, how come we have student debt? See, the thing is, the Democrats don't know what to do right now. And now that they have power, they're going to lose it in 2022. And the Republicans have a lot of ammunition to use. Let's go ahead and pull up the next video. And Daniel, I wanted to give you the final note because this will lead way into your next story.
COVID relief, having more checks, more money to get through COVID, having a better plan to deal with COVID, dealing with the issues of our time. The voters have spoken definitively. That's where the White House needs to listen to. Don't listen to the Republicans. Don't listen to Republicans who wouldn't even acknowledge that you won the election in the first place. Don't listen to the Republicans who are about to give Donald Trump yet another free pass for inciting violence and insurrection and anti-democratic values. Listen to the voters. They have spoken. You have a mandate. You have the power. You need to use it. That's what people will respond to. Don't tread cautiously or lightly. Be decisive, definitive, and vigilant. Them what they think about COVID relief.
Let's pause
having
right there
more
because it's
checks.
going to repeat itself again. Shout out to Case Study QB. Well done for getting this video. Again, he uploads a lot of good stuff on Twitter so that we're aware of what corporate media is talking about. But again, the Democrats keep farting away their opportunities. Don't negotiate with the GOP. Use your power. But Daniel, you get the final word for this story.
It infuriates me every time that we cover a story like this because I feel like I keep saying the exact same thing over and over again. And it's not insanity. I'm not trying something and getting a different result. It's that we're keep being right and no one else changes their result. Our result is always on point. The Democrats abandon, the Republicans attack. That's the way it works. When Democrats are in power, they make promises that they do have no intention of keeping because they're not any different. They function the same. They get money from the same people. Everything is effectively the same between both of them. There's this perception of difference. It's like a football team, like a basketball team, like Coke or Pepsi. There's no effective difference. And so it just becomes a tribal slaughter between people, with people jumping out and becoming independents as they get disillusioned. So I remember we covered a couple days ago a story on how people felt about democracy. And it just as sad, but it's just as representative as this. When Republicans had power under Trump, over 2/3 felt that democracy was fair and just in America. And when Trump was gone, about 1/3 felt democracy was fair and just in America. Now, consequently, and also very differently, when Biden's president, 2/3 of Democrats or so feel that America is fair and just. And when Trump was president, 1/3 felt America was fair and just. That's all this is. That's all the difference is. That's all we've said that it would ever be. And that's all it seems and continues to be. When Trump was in power, everyone was talking about him because he said this stuff. Oh no, he said all this stuff. And
he said a mean tweet, and I'm crying.
He used an adjective violently, and people would cover that every single day. The news media would make a huge amount of money off of that. That's part of the reason we didn't cover it, because it was so superfluous. What we would do is every then talk about the policy he did, which was not that often and not that much. So there's Trump, and now what's happening with Biden? It's just the exact same thing, except he's not as interesting. The only real difference between a Biden presidency and a Trump presidency is this. Biden's slightly better on social issues. Trump is slightly better on foreign policy. And here's maybe the most important factor. Trump makes money for TV and Biden doesn't.
You know what? I just want to add in one other thing here, too. Seeing how, again, we're disappointed with the Democrats. You know, I'm just going to quote one of these politicians that I am following, Bacon for president. He's starting up the Volcano Party.
I'm all for it.
Hashtag Volcano Party. One of his policies is drop Congress into a volcano, which I have to say, I think, and I think we all think, we would like to see that get done, because maybe the Volcano Party can get it done. Hashtag Volcano Party for the win.